Hey there guys, welcome back to Honeycomb. Today we're going to be talking about this device here. This is called the Cafepress by a company called Kinto. Now, if you have been enjoying our content, our coffee content, our sneaker content, please do subscribe to our YouTube page. It helps us a lot. Leave a comment, even if that comment is just an emoji of a cup of coffee or a sunshine or a rainbow. We like all those things, and it does help us a lot when you do something like that. Now, if you do have questions, we are glad to answer your questions in the comments below as well. We try to answer them within a day. So yeah, please do interact in the comments below, subscribe to our page, and click the notification bell if you want to know when we drop videos, which is more or less once a week or more. Remember also to follow along on Instagram. My Instagram is at Kayo, that's my name. Follow at Daily Drink Mag and follow at Honeycomb Manila, which is our collaborative studio in Double Dragon Plaza. Alright, so we are going to be talking about this product today. This is called the Cafepress from Kinto. But before we really talk about it, I'm going to start brewing because it takes a while to be able to taste the coffee, and you'll understand in a bit. So basically this cup is like a French press. You have a strainer inside like a French press, and then it's a double wall plastic, and you put everything in there, and when you drink you plunge down the filter and it keeps the coffee in there. So I will tell you more about that, but first we're going to brew with what I believe to be the right way to brew with this brewer. And I say that because, as with the other Kinto stuff, it comes with a set of instructions that for me are a little bit too simple. I think we have a better recipe. So let's go ahead and make this coffee. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our coffee, and this is our coffee. I'm going to put it in there, and this should be 16 grams of coffee. Yep. You have 16 grams of ground coffee. We're using a Brazil. So you can see I've used a French press grind, and that makes sense because this is a French press. So we put 16 grams of coffee into the Cafepress. Now I'm gonna get our water, and our water is at 85 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna start the timer, and then I'm gonna add 240 ml of water into the Cafepress, which is about 1:15 ratio for the 16 grams of coffee that we put into there to begin with. Now, if you follow the instructions based on what Kinto says to do, it says that you're supposed to cover it with this lid. We're not going to do that. Very similar to cupping, and I'll get more into that later. This coffee has created kind of a fixed surface, a sealed top on top of our brew, and it's holding in the temperature and the liquid and everything, all the steam in there pretty effectively. And we're actually going to treat this very similar to a coffee cupping in terms of the brew method. So we're going to wait for this to get to about 6 minutes of brew time before we disturb the top of this coffee. Now in that time, I'm going to tell you a bit about the Cafepress. The Cafepress is basically a to-go cup that has a strainer inside of it. This is very convenient. It holds temperature really well, almost too well. And it's great because, like, you make your coffee on the go. If you only want one device, this is one device that does all of the stuff that you want a cup to do. You don't have to bring a second brewer. This is it, everything in one tight package. It's arguable that this is even more convenient than an AeroPress. Because with an AeroPress, you need the AeroPress, and then you need some sort of receptacle, some sort of device to keep it in. And this one, by simply putting the little strainer into the top of the device and integrating it into the handle, well, you don't need anything else. You can use this for making coffee, use it for making tea, and we've done both. And they've done both relatively well considering the limitations and kind of the compromise that you're making by using a device like this. It makes it quick, it makes it easy, and the cups themselves do look pretty nice. At least these more monochromatic ones, I would say. Of the three, my favorite is probably the blue. That's a really nice blue. The brown is a close second, and it does have this two-tone color of brown. And my least favorite would be this white one. I think a lot of people will like this white one. I don't like it because I think that it reminds me of an airline tray table. And just not my cup of tea or a cup of coffee, I guess you could say. All right, so we're at 3.5 minutes. We brewed our coffee at 85 degrees Celsius because of this cup's amazing ability to retain temperature, and it simply keeps the coffee hot for a really long time and arguably too long a time. I posted this on Instagram in a story, and I said it's been 10 minutes and my coffee that I brewed at 90 degrees is still at 70 degrees. What am I gonna do? Some people said it was a bug, some people said it was a feature, but my friend Sean from Better Barista in Singapore, and we have an interview with Sean if you want to watch that on our Let's Coffee show with Yardstick Coffee. And Sean said that, you know what, in the morning, that's a bug, but in the afternoon, that's a feature. And it kind of reconciled really well for me what was going on with with my feelings towards it, because on one hand, I was kind of upset that I couldn't drink my coffee right away. And then on the other hand, it retained temperature really well, which is a really good thing. So, it could go either way. However, when you think about the uses that, the times you're going to use this device, it's probably going to be somewhere like an office or a workplace where, you don't have the convenience of having a nice pour over kettle, having all of your gear around. You just want one thing that you bring with you. You could probably stick the ground coffee in the bottom. We're not nitpicking at this point. And, put the plunger in. It would hold everything in place. And then bring the whole thing to work. Just add hot water when you're ready to go and have a pretty good cup of coffee. All right, so we're coming up on 6 minutes, which is about the time when we want to disturb the top of this bed. Now, when we disturb the top of the bed, very similar to cupping, we're going to try and remove as much of the crust as possible and get that to sink down into the coffee. And then after that, we're going to wait again. All right, so I have my spoon over here. So the little teaspoon. So other than the cup, you need a teaspoon. And the teaspoon you can probably store in the cup for travel. All right, so 6 minutes, and we're just going to break up the top of this coffee. It gives us a nice opportunity to get a good, nice smell of what that coffee is going to be like. So this is a nice Brazil coffee roasted by Plainside Coffee Roasters in Mandaluyong, I believe. Now at this point, you could put on the cover, but as I said earlier, it retains heat way too efficiently. So if we put on the cover, it's not going to drop heat anymore, and we kind of want it to continue dropping heat so that we can taste it. Now, once we're done here, we're going to plunge this down through the device and leave the coffee grounds in the bottom of the Cafepress. And that might make some of you wonder, well, if I leave the coffee down there, or tea, won't that cause some over extraction? Won't it get bitter? And the answer is, on tea, definitely. On coffee, not so much. It does have some elements of getting stronger towards the end of the cup, but it's not so bothersome in coffee the way that it is with tea. With the tea, I would say, if you ask me, pour it out into a different cup and drink the tea in a different cup, and then just use this as a brewer. But for coffee, and the reason why we chose this particular coffee to do this brew it was because I found that this French press system and this kind of the way that this brewer works really best for coffees that are kind of more classical in their taste. What you're looking for is a very full-bodied, chocolatey, nutty coffee, and that works best with this. It doesn't work as well with, fruitier, carbonic maceration, anaerobic fermentation style coffees. What you're looking for is that very classic, full-bodied, slightly oily, tastes good oily cup of coffee, because when you're making a French press brew, that's what you're looking for. We're now at 8 minutes 30, and you can see that there's a lot of foam here in the top. I'm just going to give it another agitation to see if there's anything floating here in the top of the coffee. And it doesn't look like there's any. There's just this foam. And here, 9 minutes. I am going to plunge this down. I'm going to take it off the Akaya scale and take care of our Akaya scale so it will last us a long time. And I am just going to insert this carefully to make sure that the seal goes all the way around and we don't get any of that foam or too much of that foam coming out. And I'm just going to push straight down slowly until I get to the bottom. There you go. And in 10 minutes, you have a very nice cup of French press coffee. Cheers. So off the bat, the cup is very hot. But the thing that I really like about this particular French press is that the coffee actually gets pretty clean, almost filter clean sometimes. Now, generally speaking, after I brewed like this, I would probably wait another 3 minutes before I drank it, just to let any other particles of coffee that have come up to the surface, and you can see that there are one or two, to sink back down to the bottom of the cup before I drank it. And then when you're drinking a cup of coffee like this with the grounds in the bottom, you don't want to drink all the way to the bottom where you can see the filter. You want to leave maybe a millimeter or two down there just so that you're not drinking any grime or fines that made its way into the cup of coffee. And that is our recommended recipe for the cafe press. Now this coffee is going to stay hot for half an hour, an hour. It's going to stay proper hot. And if that's what you want from your coffee experience, then this is perfect for you. I will note that for the first few uses of this cup, we did taste the plastic, and that is a concern. For me in particular, I generally don't like plastic in my coffee for brewing, and that's one of the reasons I actually don't use an AeroPress, because I don't like the idea even of hot water and plastic. But if you do use an AeroPress and you do use plastic, cups for takeaway, then this should be fine for you as well. So there you go, about 3 minutes. It's really coming in to be sweet, full-bodied. That's a good cup of coffee. All right, so in the beginning of the video, I forgot to do disclosures. These products are made by Kinto Japan, and they are sent over to us by Kinto Philippines, which is the local brand. We did not buy them, but they are review units that we've used for a couple of weeks, and then we are sending them back once we have all of the information that we need to know about them. So we do want to thank them for being so gracious and helping us out. That said, we do not allow them to have any sort of editorial review or know what we're going to say about the product. We generally don't say bad things when we publish stuff. So you might notice that sometimes we'll unbox a product and then there won't be a review. Generally speaking, if we don't think that a product should be purchased, we don't review it. Or we come up with a review, and sometimes we actually send it back as feedback to the brand instead of publishing a video of how we think that something is stupid or we think that it doesn't work. Because who does that really help? At least you know that when we make videos, it generally is a product that we think there is a place for it in the market. There is a place for it in our market. People who love coffee and love to brew coffee. It's a nice simple way to get something done really quickly. I think this is a better idea than instant coffee for sure. Even if it was ground several hours before in your home, I don't think that that's such a bad thing versus, having to drink whatever is just, in the percolator or in the, the 3M 3D coffee machine at the office. This is not a bad choice, and it keeps coffee hot a long time. I can see if I was like a doctor or something and I needed to sit in my clinic for 2 or 3 hours while seeing patients, maybe I'd want something like this where I could close up and it would keep my coffee hot a long time. All right, have you used the Cafe Press? What do you think? Are you interested? Do you have any other questions? I would like to know your thoughts. Do leave them in the comments below, and we try to reply within about a day whenever you have comments. And do follow along on Instagram. My name is at Kayo and I'm at Kayo on Instagram. Follow at Daily Drink Mag on Instagram. And follow Honeycomb Manila, this our collaborative studios in Double Dragon Plaza. And do click on subscribe, that does go a long way for us. Share this video with your friends. We're a growing community and we want to continue to serve you guys as best we can. Alright, and with that, I wish you guys good luck. I wish you guys good health. I wish you guys great coffee. Peace.